an African sky. Sometimes I feel that you already know me.
Mansfield today, and let's get into our gaming section on this leisure show. Today we're joined by gaming and tech specialist Nick Cowen, who is also the associate editor of Stuff magazine. Nick, nice to have you with us once again. Let's take a look a little bit of a look at Facebook today, shall we? The reason why I wanted to have a look at them was because they haven't had a really good year. We're halfway through the year almost. Haven't had a really good year from a PR point of view, have they? Go through a few of their blunders.
I wouldn't say so much their blunders, but just the stuff they've done. And you're right, their PR cycle this year makes a train wreck look appetizing by comparison. Essentially, it all starts off in January, where their platform was used in part by a group of individuals to organize the Capitol Hill riots. Then the government decided to introduce a piece of legislation that would force the likes of Facebook and Google and Twitter to pay news outlets for stories that people link to on those platforms that they sell ads around. Facebook didn't like this, and so they took their ball and they went home. Essentially, they stopped Australians from accessing news and sharing news on their platform. They even blocked access to charity groups, NGOs, and government ministries, which included the health ministry, right at the beginning of a COVID-19 vaccine drive, which is not a very good look. They later restored this, but the damage was kind of done. Then, about a month later, over 500 million users' data from Facebook appeared in the dark web on a bulletin board that was used by hackers. Facebook basically said, the reason they didn't spot this is because the data had been scraped and it hadn't violated their terms and conditions, and basically turned around to their users and said, well, maybe if you guys took your privacy a bit more seriously, this wouldn't have happened. Then after that, the Democratic Alliance closer to home asked Facebook to come to Parliament to answer questions about misinformation on their platform. They initially agreed, and then they reversed their decision last week. And our local information regulator says it's considering litigation about misinformation on the platform. So all in all, it's been quite a ride for Facebook this year, both locally and internationally.
Okay, well, firstly, let's look at the individual. I mean, what can we as individuals, if we're using Facebook, what can we do to protect ourselves?
Okay, well, look at your privacy settings. I mean, you'll be flabbergasted by the amount of people you look up on Facebook and you see their whole feed because they haven't bothered to put in any privacy roadblocks to people doing that sort of thing. A radical suggestion is you could always delete Facebook from your life. But not many people want to do that because maybe they run businesses through there and they still want to look up what happened to the bully at their school. But essentially, it's all down to us defending ourselves because, I mean, at the end of the day, Facebook has said the onus is on you to make sure that your profile is secure.
What do you think that the authorities will do, Nick, if anything, that is?
It's a tough one because I can only speak to what's happened so far. Australia obviously have introduced that piece of legislation about linking to news. The EU went in hard last week where they have basically demanded a pledge from the likes of Google, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, all of those online platforms, where they say you're no longer allowed to make money selling ads around misinformation, which is going to hit their business model quite hard. Locally, I think that Parliament and the government, to a degree, have woken up to the fact that Facebook wields a hell of a lot of power. And a lot of people on Facebook wield that power with very little sense of responsibility. It's been used to organize anything from businesses and charities, which is great, but also campaigns of harassment against certain individuals as well. And I think that they're really kind of trying to look into what can be done to stem misinformation ahead of the elections coming up. You'll also remember that POPIA, our privacy laws, law is coming into effect at the end of June. And how that's going to rub up against Facebook's terms and conditions is going to be very, very interesting.
Well, we'll keep watching that. Nick Cowen, thank you very much. Gaming and tech specialist and also associate professor. Oh, we've just promoted you. Associate editor of Stuff magazine. Thanks. We'll chat again next week. Have a good week, Nick.
Thanks for having me.
Bye-bye.
There's so much you can show me.